I started at 19, went to Australia and took care of 2 little girls, and loved it. After a year I came back home and went to college. But I decided that I wanted to travel again because I am interested in teaching English abroad one day. I met a really great family on an accredited website that I went to last time for my au pair match, and met a German family. They really liked me and I really liked them in the area, and I've always wanted to go to Germany, so after about 3 months of talking and making sure there was no other family I wanted to go with more, we went through with it. Now I am in Germany, and I have been here for 2 months. They have 3 children, all boys, a 1-year-old, who's the cutest thing on earth, a 14-year-old, who's friendly and sweet, and an 17-year-old, who I don't really provide much care for. He kept to himself a lot and didn't talk much with me, which I didn't mind because I'm mainly there for the 2 younger ones. But some weird things started happening. I began to notice that he started staring at me a lot whenever we were alone, or even at family dinner. He walks up to me at times and it sounds like he's asking me questions in German, but I can't understand him. The oldest boys can speak English. When I tell him I don't understand him, he just walks away. I asked his brother once what he asked, and he said it was something bad and he's told his brother to stop, but he won't listen. Then, over these past 2 weeks, he's made accidental contact with me. Sometimes he will brush up against me even when there's enough room for us to not bump into each other. 1 or 2 times, when this happened, I felt something on my waist, like his hand, but I thought maybe it was an accident. Now that they're out of school, we're alone at the house during the day while the parents work, and sometimes when I'm playing with the baby he will come and play with the baby too, but he will be very close to me, like to the point where I have no personal space. I have had to tell him a few times to give me space, and his younger brother has even said the same thing. Still, for some reason, I thought maybe he was just shy before and was starting to get comfortable with me. I didn't want to jump to conclusions or label him as anything, so most of this I've let go. I really like hanging out with the baby and playing board games and stuff with the 14-year-old. He's a funny, nice kid. But the bad thing that really happened was yesterday. The family went for a walk, and I stayed behind because I had bad cramps. The oldest boy also said he didn't feel like walking, so he stayed behind. We were there alone, and after they had left, I tried to go to my room, but he blocked me. I kept asking him to move, but he kept blocking me. The look on his face, like he thought it was funny, scared me. He would not speak English with me when I kept asking him why he was doing this, and at this point I felt scared and went to walk the other way. I was going to hide in a bathroom until the others came back. But then he grabbed my arm and forced my body against his. I don't know if it was a forced hug or what, but I tried to pull away, but he reacted by tightening his grip, so I just froze. He let me go after a few seconds and just left the room. When the family came back, I went into my room for the night, because I felt like I would just start crying in front of them. I don't know what I should do. I feel ashamed that I couldn't fight him off, and that I'm literally being harassed by a boy so much younger than me. I'm scared to tell the host parents, because I can tell they love their son a lot, and at the end of the day I'm just a random girl that they've only known for 2 months. I'm torn because I love the younger 2 so much already, and wanted to have a good time in Germany. But this boy is acting so weird. I don't know why he went basically ignoring me to doing this. I know that despite all of this I should probably try to talk to the host parents, probably my host mom, as I'm more comfortable sharing this with her. But I just don't know to bring that up. How to basically tell her that her son did something really weird to me. I never thought I would have to do this, or be in a situation like this, and I need some help. Please oop, yeah, that's probably the most logical solution, but I've spent so much time and money, the plane ticket and saving up, just to come to Germany. Just to leave after 2 months, it feels like all my work would just be wasted. That's why I'm trying to at least see if I can talk to the host mom, but I don't know what to say. I love the role and the other 2 kids minus him. Oop, for some reason, my brain just can't register it as sexual assault, even though a part of me knows it was definitely really wrong. I think I might be in some sort of shock. It's really late here and I still can't sleep. It doesn't feel that severe to me to label it that way. Every time I think about it I feel so ashamed. He's like half my age and I couldn't do anything about it. Oop, okay, I understand. Like I said, it's a lot to deal with. I'm away from my family, in this country, and now having to basically make an escape plan / worry about my safety. I'm having some difficulty processing right now. I am going to contact my agency in the morning. I just feel humiliated. I'm going to have to tell them what happened. I hope they don't ask too many questions and just see if it's possible to move me. I think also I should call my mom. But I even feel humiliated to tell her. I just feel so much shame. It's a feeling, in this context, I've never had to deal with before. Oop, yeah, considering the oldest boy's behavior, you're probably right. I wouldn't put it past him at all. Maybe he even feels vengeful towards me. My heart is literally broken though for the younger kids, especially the 14-year-old. By his reaction it seems like maybe his brother ruins a lot of connections for him. But at least he has friends from school, and his baby brother. It makes me feel somewhat better, knowing he's not completely alone. Update 1. In short, I am an au pair in Germany, and was being harassed by my host parent's son, 17 meters. He basically assaulted me. It is still hard for me to come to full terms with that word, but I now know at least that it was, in fact, What it was, yesterday was my day off, and after reading through everyone's advice and everything, I contacted my agency that morning. I made sure to first get out of the house, so no one would overhear me, and to get away from the older boy. The younger boy, the 14-year/0, asked me if he could go with me. I was going to the library, and I didn't mind taking him, even though technically he could go by himself. I see older children walking around alone a lot in Germany. But he specifically kept asking to go with me, and like I said before, he's a really good kid to be around, so I didn't mind. I was planning to go to a closed-off area and make my phone calls while he went around looking for books, but while we were walking to the library I could tell he wanted to say something. After a while I asked if there was anything wrong, and after a bit of a pause, he asked me nervously if I was okay, and if anything happened yesterday. He said he was wondering why he didn't see me at all anymore after they came back home. I didn't say anything at first, because I didn't want to tell him inappropriate information. I told him I just had bad cramps, which was true, and wanted to sleep. But he's a smart kid, and I think then he knew, because he asked if it was because of his older brother. When I didn't say anything, I was so caught off guard by his questions. He asked if I was leaving. He honestly looked so sad. He said he was sorry, and that he hoped I don't have a bad impression of Germany and, ow. I almost cried, because of how depressed he sounded. I told him not to worry about it, and that it had nothing to do with Germany or him or the baby, and that I'd be okay. So I finally contacted my agency when we arrived at the library. I was so nervous that I was shaking when I made the call, but they were amazing, and took everything I was saying seriously. I just told them that oldest child was making me feel unsafe, and in vague terms what happened, without going into too much detail. They understood, thankfully, what I meant, and told me that they would work on replacing me, if that's what I wanted. They also said they would reach out to the family to let them know of what was happening and of my concern with their son. I then called my mom. Being a mother, after I told her everything that had happened, she yelled at me a little, not in an abusive way, but for not telling her sooner, and told me very sternly that I was not going back to that house tonight. Even being an adult, I don't argue with my mom when she uses that type of tone. She sounded so frantic, and sent me money to stay at a hotel for a while until they found me a new placement, even though she really just wanted me to come home. I felt a lot better after talking to her. After a while, the younger boy came back over and told me, very plainly, I'm going to tell mom. He would not listen to me when I told him not to, or not to put himself in that situation. I can handle it. He seemed very angry. He tried to reassure me that his parents would listen, and that they know that older brother causes trouble sometimes. They had another girl, a few years ago, that left because of him, and everyone thought maybe since he'd grown up and changed it would be different. I stayed at the library while he went home, and just waited. I did not know what was going to happen. I already had a hotel booked by then and knew I would probably need to go back to get my stuff. About an hour and a half later, I left the library. Since the parents were at home today, I felt somewhat safe going back to get my stuff. Before I got back, I received a call. It was from my host mom. When I answered, she was very frantic. She asked me if I was okay, and where I was. When I got to the house, the parents were in somewhat of an argument. I didn't understand all of it, because they went between German and English, but I heard some words, like not again, and ruining. In short, the mother pulled me aside. She said that she wasn't aware that the oldest son was still like this. She begged me not to leave. She told me she wanted her two youngest sons to have healthy attachments to their caregivers, and that it was very hard for them to do this with the oldest. She was actually crying during all of this, and told me she doesn't know why he acts like that, but she did not raise him like that. And that while she loved her son, she was not going to tolerate that behavior anymore. She said that once he turns 18 next week, I had no idea his birthday was next week, he will have to go live with his uncle and cousin in the Netherlands, for the sake of everyone in the house. She told me they, the parents, discussed it a bit when the first incident happened, but since he seemed to act better, they dropped it at the time. When I asked where he was, she said that he left quickly when his brother came home, saying he was going to a friend's house. He probably will not be back, and she said that even if he does, she will not let him in, and will tell him to go to his aunt's, who lives not that far, until he can go to the Netherlands. She actually looked very sincere and stern when she said this, and even though the father looked like he was in shock, he agreed with what she said. I didn't know how to respond to them. It was not the reaction I was expecting, but I wanted to be honest. I told her that I was going to stay at a hotel for a while, and that she will probably hear from the agency. I told her that I loved the two younger boys, but I might not be back. She said she understood, but would appreciate it if I at least thought about for a day or two. Before I left, I hugged the baby and 14-year/0 bye. So that is what happened. I am safe in the hotel now. I didn't at all expect that reaction from them. I felt almost sick with worry when I wrote my first post. Of not being believed. But even though the oldest boy probably won't be back and will eventually be forced to leave, I still feel the effects of what happened lingering. I still feel vulnerable and overwhelmed when I even think about what happened. I feel so bad for the younger children. I'm not sure if I should go back or not. She told me to think about it. I will give it some time and see what my agency says first about other placements. I just wanted to thank everyone for helping me through something really difficult. But I am safe now in this hotel, and I'm not going to rush back into any situation without thinking over my options, and asking for my mom's opinion. Thank you once again. Oop, thank you, I honestly didn't think of that. It does make me feel a bit strange that they didn't tell me and, like you said, still invited another girl there after what had happened. I think the mother is maybe really hurt at her son's behavior. She was crying really hard, I actually felt bad. But still, she brought me there. The only one who seemed concerned about me before any of this happened was the younger brother. A lot of his behavior makes sense now, why he would follow the baby and I everywhere, and why he didn't really speak to his brother. I will definitely ask the agency that, though I hope it isn't true, because otherwise they've been exceptional in all other aspects. Oop, yeah, unfortunately the trust with the host parents is broken. I did receive some good news today though from the agency. They said there are 3 interested families that would like to interview with me based on my profile. They're looking to start ASAP, and I have 2 of them lined up later today, the other tomorrow. Hopefully things go well and one of them is a good fit. Thank you for your comment. I still can't help but think about the other 2 though, but the night in hotel really helped clear my head and everything. Update 2. I spoke with the agency sometime earlier today and asked them if there have been other au pairs with this family. They said this is their first time placing someone with the family, and if another au pair was with the family before, it was probably through another agency, but they had no knowledge of this, and when they interviewed the family was told this was a new experience for them. I am thinking maybe the other girl was through another agency, there are a few of them. I'm not sure that all au pair agencies can see the others' networks, but they said they will look further into it. They told me that for now, they will not be placing any new girls with this family, so that gave me some peace of mind. Now on to second story. Daughter's wedding walk was jacked by her stepdad, encouraged by my ex, despite me paying for her dream wedding. My 56 male daughter, 25F, is getting married next spring. I've been looking forward to this for years, and she and I have always been close. Her mom and I split when she was around 12, and she mostly lived with me after that. I've been in her life full time, so I always figured I'd have that classic father-daughter moment at her wedding. Her mom remarried about 5 years ago, and let's just say I'm not a fan of her new husband. He's a guy who always needs to be the center of attention, loud and over the top, and just exhausting. He's pulled stunts even at family gatherings for my side, always making everything about him. I've put up with it to keep things civil, but it's been a challenge for me all the time. I still invite him for my daughter's sake. Fast forward to now, my daughter is wedding planning and told me that she'd like her stepdad to walk her halfway down the aisle with me. I couldn't believe it. I told her that, as her actual father, it's a bit hurtful to have to share this big moment with someone who's only been in her life for a few years. I've been there through everything. Every school event, every late night, every hard time. Her stepdad has just recently come into the picture, and it stings that she wants to include him in a moment I always assumed was ours. To make things even harder to swallow, I'm covering all the wedding expenses. I've spent a significant amount so she could have her dream wedding. I don't want to be petty, but part of me feels like it's only fair to expect that I'd have the honor of walking her down the aisle, just me and her. She got defensive, saying she wants to include him because he's been supportive, but I explained that, to me, this is about a father-daughter tradition and how much I value our relationship. Now she's upset, and my ex-wife has also joined, saying I'm being selfish and making it all about me. I've now become a full-blown topic of discussion, with everyone throwing some pretty harsh words my way. In frustration, I finally told her that if she really wants him to be there, she should ask him if he'd also like to split the bills. That might have been a bit much, but I was feeling cornered. So, Ida for not wanting to share the aisle with her stepdad, especially since I'm also paying for the whole thing? I just want to add a note here as there is some confusion. My daughter told she wants him to walk her down the aisle as my ex-wife and her husband asked her for this. This was not something that she came up with. Just wanted to provide that clarity as some people are thinking it was my daughter's wishes. Oop, you are right. He did. Him and my ex-wife both did. I love my daughter a lot, but my wife left us alone when my daughter was just 12. She cheated on me and turned her back on our daughter too. She had to come back into our life and I let her because at the end of the day she is my daughter's mother. However, it hurts me that my daughter did not stand up to them or cannot clearly see that they are both trying to come between us. Sometimes I do think I should suck it up, but it breaks my heart at the same time. Oop, it really means a lot to hear that someone else gets where I'm coming from. It's been rough trying to explain that this isn't about control or making it about me, but rather about honoring the role I've had in her life. I appreciate the advice on setting boundaries. The father-daughter dance is something I hadn't even thought about them taking away, but now I'm worried you're right. I'm going to have an honest conversation with her and make it clear that these 2 moments, the walk down the aisle and the dance, are all I'm asking for as her father. Update 1. I got some messages about the cost of the wedding. I have to add that this is a destination wedding, so some of the bills are due to flight costs, my daughter's makeup artists, and a few gifts I'm giving to my daughter. So after taking in your advice, I sat down with my daughter to have an honest conversation about everything. I explained why walking her down the aisle was so important to me, how much it means as her father, and why it felt unfair to be asked to share this moment with her stepdad. I apologized to her, trying to express that I never intended to make her worry about the bills. I told her I am doing it because I love her and want to give her the day of her dreams. I told her I said it out of frustration and she has nothing to worry about. Unfortunately, the talk didn't go as I'd hoped. She got pretty upset and told me I was ruining her day and that I didn't understand the pressure she was under from everyone to keep the peace. She was worried about her mom getting angry, and when I told her I felt hurt by all of this, she accused me of threatening her and even called me a narc. I sissed. I'll be honest, she used terms I don't fully understand, but it stung. She mentioned that her mom has been really nice to her for the past few years and that she doesn't want to lose that relationship. To her, my ex-wife is her best friend now, and she didn't have that growing up. I get it, my ex-wife and my daughter do have a lot in common. Things like fashion, accessories, and other interests. My daughter is very much like her in that regard. My ex-wife and her husband also came over so they could all discuss it as a family. My sister happened to be there too, and she stayed to support me, which helped me keep my calm. When they arrived, things only got more tense. My daughter told them she no longer wanted me paying for the wedding and asked if they could step in instead. I knew this was a very bad idea and knew it would not end well. I knew she would reject it, but it would break my daughter's heart. I thought my ex-wife will do it in a smart way so my daughter is not hurt, but my ex-wife flat out said she couldn't pay because she was saving for her son's college fund, her son from a marriage before her current husband. Her son is 15, so college is still 5 to 6 years away, but she said that was her priority. I knew this would end this way, but I never expected my daughter to get frustrated with me and just ask them directly. I knew she trusted her mom deeply and I did want her to know her mother is not the best support, but I didn't want my daughter finding out this way. I could see it really broke her heart. My daughter really had started to trust her mother. Her husband then jumped in, saying I was being a jerk and making the day about myself. At that point, I finally had enough. I told them that my intent was never to hold anything over anyone, especially not my daughter, and I was only hurt because I wanted a moment with her that I'd looked forward to her whole life. I explained that I was still willing to pay for everything, but my daughter was busy, upset after realizing that her mom and stepdad weren't willing to contribute a cent to the wedding. By the end of it all, my daughter looked heartbroken. I could see she was hurt realizing her mom would rather prioritize her half-brother's college fund, years down the line, over helping with her wedding now. She told me she needed some space to process everything, and I told her I'd give her all the space she needs. As for my ex-wife, she wasn't done. She said I'd ruined everything and that I was the reason my daughter no longer respects her mother and stepdad. She blamed me for this entire mess, saying I'd manipulated the situation to create a rift between them and my daughter. I'm glad my daughter knows the truth about her mom and stepdad, but I didn't want her to find out this way. So, that's where we're at. I'm just trying to be there for my daughter in whatever way she needs, so, that's where we're at. Thank you all again for the support, it's helped me feel a lot less alone in this. I have to mention, my future son-in-law had insisted to my daughter that her mom and stepdad should pay for the wedding instead of me. When I talked to him about it afterward, he explained that he wanted my daughter to learn that her mom might not have the best intentions for her. To be fair, he's not a fan of my ex-wife because she's made snarky remarks about his mother in the past, so I know he only did this to get back at my ex-wife, but at the end this has left my daughter feeling broken. She has a very open heart and trusts people easily. I wanted her to know this was wrong, but not in a way where she feels betrayed by her own mother. She carries a lot of pain from the past. Thank you everyone for your kind words. I will end this message here. Wish you all luck.